Hey nerds, Farmer Jesse here. So we have a very special video for you all this week. In early March, the No-Till Growers team and I went to the Organic Growers School Conference in Mars Hill, North Carolina. And well, we don't really travel without going to visit farms. And one farm that had been on our radar that we were excited to visit this year was Wild East Farm, about 45 minutes outside of Asheville, North Carolina. So today, you're going to get a really awesome tour of that farm that Jackson and I shot together. We got to chat with the owners, Noah and Lyric, along with their farm manager, Zach. You'll get to hear all about this diverse operation that is doing all sorts of interesting stuff, from no-till vegetable production to broiler chickens and silvopasture, and very interestingly, how they're doing all of it on leased land. So, we're huge fans of this farm and these folks, and you can even follow along with their work here on YouTube, called the Small Scale Revival, and on Instagram and all the places, and we will hook it up with links in the show notes. That's enough from me for now. Enjoy this awesome tour of Wild East Farm.
Hey, yeah, I'm Noah. Me and Lyric are the owners of Wild East, and we started this farm about a year and some change ago, and entering year 2 here in 2024. We're really excited about mixed farming and bringing in multiple enterprises from the start of the business, and we have a pretty keen interest on also integrating perennials and seeing how over time, as our lives change and as the farm landscape changes, that we can transition from just annual production like we're doing to get started into more mixed perennial production as well.
I'm Lyric. Noah and I started our farm together and have been in love for about 8 years, and feel the farm is very much a manifestation of our love for each other and the land.
And I'm Zach. I've been here for just shy of 6 months. I've been growing commercial vegetables this will be my 8th season, primarily in annual settings, all different parts of the country, and came here because I see both an opportunity to learn a lot about perennial production and different forms of sustainable agriculture in the truest sense of the word, but also a long-term dream to become a part of a place. So I'm managing the vegetable production here at Wild East, and we're just doing around a ½ acre of annual veg, lots of intensive bed flipping, so doing somewhere between 4 or 5 crops a year, trying to produce year-round, emphasizing our shoulder seasons and our winter production is our goal.
We manage all of our gardens with no-till methods, and took very compacted horse pasture and rapidly turned it into very productive garden space, which we're really proud of and has been beautiful to witness. We also run 2 pastured poultry operations, so we do chickens and turkeys, all organic fed, rotated through our silvopasture lanes in our main pasture. We process all of our birds here on site on the farm, and we sell wholesale and at farmers markets. Yeah,
so the market gardens and the poultry make up what is the backbone of the financial picture of Wild East Farm. To get started at least, but we also have a couple of side things that we do in the agrarian sense that integrate really well with the landscape and the ecology. So we have a small little flock of sheep that are lambing right now. It's our first time going through lambing season, so that's very exciting, and they're not a commercial aspect of the farm, but we have them here to be grazing the grass, which integrates really well with the pastured poultry. We have them for nutrient cycling and improving the pastures, and we really enjoy them too. And that's a big part of our context, is not having everything be so strictly focused on production, that we can have time and space for things that can have their place here on the farm simply because it brings us joy. On that note, we also run pigs, about 10 to 20 pigs a year, through our woodlands that are somewhat plagued with some invasive species issues and some poor management decisions over the last decades. So we're trying to kickstart the ecology of our woodlands in a different direction, utilizing the impact that the pigs out there can have. So while neither of the sheep or the pigs are financially significant to the farm, they fit really well into the whole picture of managing this landscape and having tasty yields as a part of that.
Yeah, so we're balancing multiple short turnaround annual enterprises right now as we get started, and we've also planted about 12 acres of tree crops, which we hope to transition to as a form of production and as a form of education over time.
We have several different kind of blocks. Our main production area we call Northfield, and it's a mixed planting of apples, Asian pears, Asian persimmons, mulberries, and pawpaws that are all interplanted with a hazel. And we're going to continue to intensify the spacing and the diversity of those tree lanes, introducing cane fruits and rhubarb and horseradish and different layers in the lanes, hoping to develop a really unique and diverse U-pick experience for folks to be able to come out here, because with that setup it's not designed to be commercially super efficient for harvest optimization and all those things, but it can be a space where people can come out and have a long time throughout the year. They can pick food here. We have a nut field, which is a mix of walnuts, pecans, hickories, and some natives and some that are cultivars, more for developing a savanna-like matrix of sparsely planted, mature nut trees that are masting well beyond our lifetimes. Mm-hmm. And then we have a blueberry orchard up on a slope, and yeah, just slowly kind of landscaping and integrating other types of perennials around the farm, but those are some of the main components.
Noah and I were intensively homesteading in Asheville for about 6 years prior to moving here, and that was really our first experience having direct relationship with growing food. So we raised chickens and rabbits, and we had a big vegetable garden, and it was about a year into homesteading that we got really serious about farming as a vocation and as a way of life, and something that we wanted to pursue permanently. And that was not a land base where we could support ourselves financially through growing food. So we started our land search as we started resourcing ourselves financially and skill-wise and relationship-wise, really just taking a very long-form approach to feeling prepared to start a full farm business. And so several years ago, we felt like we had enough money. We wanted to put a down payment down on a farm, and we felt like we had to own land to have the long-term tenure that felt necessary for the type of farming that we wanted to do. And it became apparent that that would not be possible with our financial resources. We don't come from generational wealth, and we've been saving all of our money, and it just wasn't adding up with the housing prices and land prices around Western North Carolina, which is where we've been for 10 years and where we wanted to stay. So we kind of came to a breaking point after looking at a lot of listings, and we basically opened ourselves up to other possibilities. And I think there was this particular moment we threw our hands up, like, okay, we're open to not owning, we're open to something else, we're open to it looking differently. And within a few weeks of making that decision, we saw this property on a website called FarmLink, which is a place where farmers can look for land and landowners can post land, and there's all these different configurations that can come out of those postings. But this property was listed on there as a long-term lease opportunity specifically for young and beginning farmers at a reasonable rate. And we really resonated with the posting. We came here and cried in the driveway right there, looking at our list of criteria of what we were seeking in a place, and this checked every single box. And it was a really easy process of negotiating the lease with the landowner, and we've had an incredibly positive relationship so far, and have a very high level of autonomy in how we are farming and what we're choosing to farm, which feels critical to a sustainable lease opportunity for the farmer to be able to do what they need to do for their business. So we own our business outright, we own all of our assets outright, and we lease the land and our home. Yeah, I'm sure folks will be curious about the details of the lease, and we're happy to share about that. So we're currently in a 6-year lease term, which felt comfortable for both us and the landowner to not enter into a life lease from the get-go when we're still getting to know each other and understanding our needs in this process. So we're currently in a 6-year lease. The mutual intention is that that would turn into a life lease after that 6-year trial period. So we're dwelling in this introductory experiment phase right now and trusting in the process and feeling very clear that there's nowhere else that we should be.
The ethos behind the gardens is a diverse one. There's the aspect of getting started quickly. I'm not sure it's been explicitly mentioned yet, but we're only going into year 2. And if you're trying to establish no-till gardens while you're also establishing a poultry operation, while you're also establishing silvopasture and pastured pigs or forested pigs, there's a lot of things pulling at you. So in that first year, Noah and Lyric found a means of using a tractor to, get a lot of organic matter, mostly compost around 4 to 6 inches onto the beds, filling the paths with wood chips, and then planting right into that, with amending happening sort of as an as-needed basis. And then in terms of like actual tillage and upkeep, they're being maintained via mowing, tarping, broad forking, and raking, as well as using a tilther, which is about as tillagey as we get. And ultimately, we're not disturbing topsoil ever. And with the tilther, that's almost always going somewhere between 1 inch and 2 inches of the compost that gets applied regularly at each bed flip as well. And those will all change, the numbers and the amounts that will change over time as we sort of naturalize that system. I think one of the other interesting aspects for us at being at a small scale is that we're, because we have so many different enterprises, that's such a bonus to us because it gives us resiliency. Also means that we don't need to optimize the vegetable production to like the nth extent, which for us looks like trying to grow a few less diversity of vegetables, growing somewhere under 20, which still feels like plenty, and looking at farmers market as an outlet for that, but also looking into wholesale even at a smaller scale.
So in our first year in 2023, over 50% of our vegetable sales were to nonprofits that then distributed it at no cost to the community. And we had a very significant amount of chicken sales moving in that direction as well, and well over 50%, I would say, of our vegetable sales have been wholesale. We just started doing farmers markets over the winter. So it's exciting to see wholesale on a very small scale and for most of our food to be moving in the direction of food access.
We've to date purchased all the compost we've gotten from Atlas Organics. They've got a couple places within reasonable distance of here to get nice big loads, and I had worked with their material in the past at the farm I was managing before, and it's good for commercial compost, and had a really good experience in our first year with the yields we were getting out of it. So kind of what Zach alluded to with being mixed and having a lot of different things going on in every way that we can try to make a certain element of the farm as simple on us as possible, at least in the establishment years where we don't have a massive labor force, such as
I'm pretty big.
Such as making our own compost and all the considerations for that. It's certainly not something we're opposed to or never want to do, but for now we're happy to have someone else do that work and bring in the material, as long as we're happy with it, which we have been. For fertility, we try to, throughout the season, after an initial amending, either at establishment or bed flip, monitor crops and do regular applications of just a simple aerated compost tea. We're interested in getting into making biofertilizers with some of our ruminant manure and some other ingredients, and doing trials here in our context on what are some of the homemade fertility options that can help close some of the loops on the farm.
A big part of why the annual vegetables fit into our context as we establish the perennials is just cash flow and the ability to derive revenue very quickly from our annual vegetables. And even with a very high input beginning, buying in so much compost to establish the gardens, we made back 100% of our startup costs in the gardens within 8 weeks of selling wholesale vegetables. And so moving from there, it was just constant cash flow for us as we established the poultry and as we wait for our perennials to produce in several years. So it just made a lot of economic sense for the farm, but it's extremely high.
Well, yeah, when you see if you Google like per acre yield of X crop in terms of pounds or price or whatever, but then you kind of extrapolate it from a super small scale, it's on a different order of magnitude often, and that's it's a really inspiring aspect of being small. And small scale is really, we've talked about it, something that we're really interested in, and something I think that inspires all of us about keeping the footprint of the vegetable production small, is that if we want to grow more food or intensify, we just have to get better at growing food. We don't have 5 acres over there down the line that we can just grow more and plow it up and just kind of take whatever losses are associated with scaling up rapidly. We're really inspired by that refining process of just getting better and better over time, and treating it like a craft and a skill that takes years to hone in the ways that we're all interested in.
A core value for us for sure is relationship, human earth, human crop, and we were very fortunate to have really high engagement of community on the farm in our first year. I think we had over 400 people out across workshops and volunteer days. We staffed our chicken processing days entirely with volunteers, just a rotating cast of folks who wanted to be that close with their meat, which was really exciting. And the only reason we were able to establish 1,500 trees and shrubs in a couple of days last March was we had over 30 folks come out and help with that and be part of planting those trees and mulching those trees, which was really fun. And we partner with a lot of local nonprofits who host events here. And yeah, I'm excited for summer and for the human relationships to awaken again on the farm. I mean, we're here, but yeah, the public side, we've set things up to be quite public facing and are interested in moving continually in that direction.
Yeah, the visibility element is really important to us, and even just in a year of selling produce and meat at the farmers markets, really realizing, number one, how much of a craving people have to come and see rural agrarian landscapes, and also how much there is to offer in terms of just teaching people some of the basics of what this space actually looks like. I think if you're not acquainted with farming in any kind of intimate way, it's such a foreign thing. And so, yeah, we're putting a lot of energy and effort into trying to break down some of the mystery around small-scale farming and this lifestyle for the people who are interested in that nearby.
I suppose I'm excited about becoming inspired by the small and the nearby, both the small in terms of the scale, but just in terms of like one property among a world. I came from a perspective of really feeling like I needed to like learn how to feed the world and do that in like a ecologically just way. And that still like holds a place in my heart, but it also is being reckoned with my own responsibility towards myself and my immediate surroundings. And I think that I'm really excited to really become acquainted to this place, the people that come here, and also the building the village that we all want in the valley here.
Yeah, the aspect of what scale to operate at was made really clear to me in my experience managing 8 acres of organic vegetable production that was tractor-based, not large scale by relative means of what is out there, but a lot larger scale than we are operating now. And my days were kind of juxtaposed between long hours on the tractor and cultivating and dealing with a lot of the, both challenges and opportunities that come with that type of vegetable farming. And it didn't light me up, and I totally respect the methods there, but it just it wasn't something I wanted to do forever. And the juxtaposition was I would come home to our homestead. There was essentially a little micro no-till backyard garden, and after 10 hours working at the farm, I would spend the next 3 hours in my garden, and just like the difference in how I felt, and I would get energy out of that. And I think some point in there it just occurred, if we could kind of meet somewhere in the middle between the two scales, but keep the aspects of the small being, I can hear the birds singing all the time, and I don't have a headache from wearing ear protection all day, and there's not clouds of dust flying around everywhere, mud flying off the farm, as you see in some bigger tillage-based systems. Yeah, the human scale element of feeling, I don't know, almost more ancestrally consistent with what day-to-day life for a human being has been like for a lot longer, is what inspires me and makes my nervous system and my mood and everything about the day-to-day of the small scale appealing.
Yeah, I farmed at a slightly, I guess now would be smaller scale a few years back. So everything from like a third of an acre of production to 12 acres. Most recently was at 12 acres, and that experience led me to taking a year off of all work, which I'm grateful that I was able to save the money I was able to in order to achieve that, and also living very much so within my means while I was taking that time off. Yeah, I think a lot of very similar aspects to what Noah touched on. The noise, I was responsible for repairing and maintaining 3 tractors and 9 vehicles and countless small engines, and I wanted to, because I also needed to learn that, I felt like, and I still am grateful for that knowledge. But it wasn't the work that ultimately I wanted to be doing all of the time. And I felt like, yeah, it was taking its toll on me as well. And I think with ambitious folks, which I think all 3 of us clearly are, the idea of more can be really seductive, but more can mean a lot of different things. And so for us here at Wild East, more also includes like diversity of activities. I'm not going to be thinning those carrots that I messed up when I seeded those 3 acres of carrots for the rest of my life. I'm going to like thin it quickly. It'll take me 25 minutes, and then I'm going to go and walk my dog around the perimeter of the livestock operation, and then maybe go take a look at the tree health of the silvopasture. You know, the activities are really varied, which really changes how one feels on a day-to-day basis. It can feel kind of overwhelming at times too, but that's what happens when you embrace anything that's complex and dynamic. Is it's going to have moments where it's actually not within the constraints that you thought it was, and that's just surprising and fun if you can look at it that way. And sometimes you get a little stressed, but it's nothing compared to feeling like the sort of weight you feel when you have that much veg or otherwise on your plate, and if you mess up, like you're there to answer for it too. Yeah, I do think that ultimately all scales have like a really important role to play, and I'm grateful for the diversity of experiences that I've had to make me the farmer that I am.
Yeah, I think a lot of our success and a lot of the ease that we felt in our first year of farming came from dwelling at the intersection of preparedness and opportunity. A mentor said that to me at one point, and it really solidified for us that if you can resource yourself in the ways that you're able, financially, relationally, skill-wise, and I think if you resource yourself in those ways, that's when opportunity opens up. So being ready for the situation that may come to you through your preparedness. And then I think we've also been able to find a really beautiful blend between like farming and homesteading for ourselves and our own health and our own access to high integrity food and our own relationship with the land, and treating it like a real business and knowing our numbers and knowing how money is moving through the farm and making very strategic decisions that will allow us to continue maintaining the lifestyle that we want to live with money as one currency that's enabling that. So I don't know, my advice for folks that are just starting out is to take stock of what you have in your life and what you can offer to the land and to a farm, walk towards that, and then like take it really seriously and treat it like a business, and know your numbers and know where you need to shift things so that you can continue to be within your value system.
Thinking back to a position we were in at one point of land access being a challenge and not being sure where we would end up for that reason and how our situation would look, there were definitely times where we felt dejected in the process of leading up to starting a farm. But in hindsight, it really is hard to say if people ask, when did you start the farm, to say, oh, 2023 we started the farm, because in so many ways, as Lyric just articulated, we were starting the farm 5, 6, 7 years ago, and the relationships we were building and the skills we were gaining and the knowledge we were accumulating, and none of it could have happened at that point where it really took off in becoming a real business without those years of percolation. So that position that is all too common of not knowing how to start a farm or where, having access issues or capital issues to get started, it can be reframed as a positive period of the journey where it's like, I'm not there yet, and it's okay that I'm not there yet because I have to be here now to get there. And how can I maximize this time now so that when I am at that point, things can just flow.
You're prepared and there's opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that we're still all learning, and I think most people are, is like how to handle failure in a not necessarily just a graceful way, but allow that to pass through. And I think that destigmatizing failure in agriculture is pretty important. The consequences are high, whether that's like losing topsoil or losing an animal. It can feel like the gravity is like all around you, and it is, but it's also okay. And learning to like love yourself and take your time, but also hurry up, and really like feel into what you want. I think, what Lyric and Noah did for 5 years to, vision craft is the way that you're able to, I think, do this in a way that allows it to, feel really holistic from the start, because nothing takes more time than crafting the vision. And I think that sometimes that gets lost in the excitement around how to grow this or that individual thing. And the details are ever important, but getting the vision aligned first is really important too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we post on Instagram. That's a great way to stay up to date. There's a lot of beautiful photos of the farm on there. We post volunteer opportunities, anything new and exciting happening. That's just at Wild East Farm. Yeah, you can see our whole event calendar on our website, wildeastfarm.com, and sign up for our newsletter on there. That's just a monthly announcement right now.
Yeah, and starting last year and rolling into this year and the future, I've been documenting somewhat casually just day-to-day life on the farm and how things are transitioning as we get things started on YouTube. So that channel is Small Scale Revival on YouTube. So if you want to check out and follow along season 2 at Wild East, we'll be posting videos every week.
That's going to sound sappy, but I can't help it. So I'm going to just plug my mentors, and because I know they'll watch this, and thank you so much. And I'll probably share with my mom. So, Mom, hi. At Farming Zach, if you thought that was cute.
Yeah, here's his phone number.
Single and mingling, or whatever they say, Caterpillar.
It's perfect.
It's great.
That's a wrap.
All right, how awesome is that crew, right? Make sure to give them a follow here at YouTube and on Instagram. Love their work, and it will be fun to see it grow. That wasn't really intended as a pun, but it could be. Shout out to Jackson Roulette for helping shoot and then edit this one. If you would like to support our work, you can do it at no-tillgrowers.com by picking up a copy of the Living Soil Handbook or a hat or other merch. or you can go become a patron at patreon.com/no-till-growers, or just hit that super thanks button. That works too. Join us here at Rough Draft Farmstead for one of our no-till farm field days this spring if you're interested in seeing this farm. Otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.
Anything else we should cover?
I have a livestock guardian dog. His name's Bran, and he's cute as hell.
We'll keep the stupid part.
We'll keep the stupid part and all the other stuff. We'll be like, we tried to shoot this video before.
Here's what we got. I'm managing the vegetable production here at
I would say, restart, readjust, throw those words away. Yeah.